Hey guys, this is Dr. Weaver, and as promised, I'm going to go over some terms that a lot of people tend to confuse in the topic of evolution. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. So, if you come across a question where it's scenario based and they have in the choices bottleneck effect, founder effect, gene flow, gene drift, all these words, and you're like, whoa, what are these words? And they're confusing to you, all you got to do is think about this in a step-by-step fashion. The first thing I want you to do is ask yourself, is the population changing? If the answer is yes, then evolution is going on. Evolution simply is the change over time. And when we deal with a scenario-based question, we're going to be looking at different versions of a gene or alleles. And if the alleles are changing in their percentages or frequency, then evolution is definitely happening. And if nothing is happening, if there's no change, if it's stable, then that's Hardy Weinberg Equilibrium. Hardy Weinberg Equilibrium is everything that is the opposite of change, everything that is the opposite of evolution. As a matter of fact, when I review some terms right here on what causes the change, you can just put the opposite right in your mind and bam, you got the main features of the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium that a lot of times your teacher or professor or whatever is going to ask you to memorize. So there, it's easy to remember after we do this. After you've established that evolution is taking place, ask yourself, is it by chance? We're talking roll of the dice chance, or is it something specific that's going on? If the answer is yes, it's by chance, then we say it's gene drift. Now, with this and everything else, there's a lot of stuff to remember. And if you can picture stuff in your mind that helps you remember it, the better off you're going to be. And if you look at the word drift, what does drift remind you of? It reminds me of a piece of driftwood floating in the ocean, going around, no direction. So that's exactly what it is. It's by chance. There's no main direction. It is going to be by complete chance. And there's two types, the bottleneck effect and the founder effect. Bottleneck effect is it's a term that's commonly used to describe when something is going to meet at one spot and everybody's trying to get through. It's like everybody's at like Walmart or something is trying to like get through the doors for Black Friday. You know what I'm talking about. Or like everybody on the road is trying to get off at one exit. It causes a traffic jam. Well, that's called the bottleneck effect. You can picture that. And this really occurs by natural disaster. So what's going to happen is if a large percentage of the population is destroyed by an earthquake and only a few survive, well, by chance, you may drastically change the allele frequency. Okay, it's completely by chance. This could be an earthquake, wipes off 90% of the population. Well, the 10% that's left, that's the new frequency of the genes. Founder effect, this is when an area that is not going to be not going to have the genes of a certain population, and they go into an area, but it's not by their choice. It's again by chance, because we're talking about gene drift. And maybe they colonize a new area. Maybe the wind blows a flock of birds, really strong wind, to a new island, and then they're there. That's the founder effect. You could think of our founding fathers. They colonize the land. It's the same idea, the founder effect. Okay, so if the answer is no for the chance, something really specific is going on. Well, if it's the organisms that are specifically deciding to move to an area, it is called gene flow. This could be migration to a new area. This could be immigration, emigration. So if they're moving in a direction to a new area, it's called gene flow. And what is flow? Think about it. What is a river? What does a river do? It flows. A river is going to flow in a direction, and it is going to be very specific which way, as opposed to a piece of driftwood, which is who knows where that's going. Gene flow, it has a specific direction, so migration is pretty specific. Also, a selection process is specific. Now, there's a common misconception that selection is kind of random, but mutations are random. So if there's a new mutation, that may occur randomly, but the selection process, whether it's natural selection, nature deciding specifically what mutations are good and bad, if it is going to be sexual selection, where the organism is going to decide what other members of the species are going to exhibit features that they're attracted to. They decide who to mate with. And then there's artificial selection, where the humans decide what organisms get selected for. So selection is very specific. So now back to Hardy Weinberg. Okay, if you're ever asked what Hardy Weinberg equilibrium, what the main features are, well, it's just the opposite. Hardy Weinberg has to have no founder effect. Okay, it's going to have no bottleneck effect. So what does that mean? It has to be a large population. So if there's a large population, it will actually minimize the effects of any kind of gene drift because the population is so large. Also, it's going to have no gene flow, no migration, no moving in and out of the population, no migration. It's also going to have no natural selection, no sexual selection, not mentioned really often in the textbooks, but technically no artificial selection. So if the answer is no to any of these changes, the answer is going to be Hardy Weinberg equilibrium. If the answer is yes, then you just go down the line. The main thing, is it by chance gene drift versus gene flow, or natural selection is also specific. If you take these scenarios and you break it down into these couple of questions, you should be fine. So if you have any more questions, feel free to email me. This is going to be a YouTube channel called BioExplained. So if you email bioexplained@gmail.com, maybe I'll answer your question and I'll make a video of it, and everybody can watch it. So thanks for watching.